to charge for an income tax. I wasn't up here, but I generally think that we are passing too many constitutional amendments. Constitution has served this state well. If people don't want an income tax, we've got a body right here that can stop that any day of the week. We don't need a constitutional amendment. We don't need to restrict ourselves in terms of sales tax, income tax, business tax, or whatever, because that's what this body is here to do, is to make those decisions. I guess I'm looking at it like a lawyer, which is, all things being equal, we should never amend the Constitution unless there's some extraordinary need. I don't see anybody up here. There's no income tax bill in the legislature this year, so why are we looking around for problems that don't exist to solve? I just don't, we don't need to be, essentially what we're doing with constitutional amendments is we're binding future generations. That's why we have this body up here. Let this body decide on our tax policy, not without any sort of constitutional restriction.
I think one of the problems is that Tennessee doesn't have any mechanism for sending things to the voters, and so therefore the only way to get anything before voters is through a constitutional amendment.
I don't think it's a problem. I think this body has done just fine with tax policy, and I think I think there is no problem. We are essentially once again creating a solution. We have a solution looking for a problem. In other words, if you're against the income tax as a matter of policy, you've been well served by the Tennessee legislature. We had a governor who proposed it. It never passed. So what we're doing today is really political theater. It doesn't serve any legitimate purpose in my mind, and I just don't think we should be tampering with our Constitution for political reasons.
But Tennessee has one of the most difficult constitutions to amend in the country, so it's not
I think that's good. I think Tennessee's government, in many ways, has worked very well for the people, and not only. I would generally say that it should be very difficult to amend the Constitution. That's a good thing. And I don't think obviously we see California with its referendum system. California has extraordinary problems that Tennessee has never gotten itself into. Our pension is stronger. Our system of financing government is stronger. So I think we've been well served by our Constitution, better served than many other states have been by their Constitution. I don't think anybody can look at that constitutional amendment and say it's anything other than political theater. I'm not for that. I bet we could get by for the next 25 years without ever amending our Constitution, and we would do just fine for that fact.
Yeah, but don't you get tired of hearing Republicans always try to shackle the income tax on Democrats, and then the voters, use that as a scare tactic to get them to vote Republican, to say that you elect Democrats and you're potentially electing somebody who's going to impose an income tax on you?
What do I think? I think that Democrats have lost their majority in the state of Tennessee, primarily because we had a couple of election cycles in which Democrats were overwhelmingly defeated throughout the United States. That's the sort of cycle that happens in our national democracy, and there'll be other cycles, and Democrats will at some point resume their majority.
So you don't think that the income tax debates of the late 1990s, early 2000s had anything to do with Democrats?
No, I wouldn't say that. Obviously, some people who voted for an income tax probably paid the price and lost their seat. But I don't think because of one particular vote or another we need to be tampering with our Constitution.